Greetings, football fans, and welcome to another edition of Field Vision, brought to you by War Room Sports in conjunction with Sports Kings. I'm one of your hosts, Devin McMillan, and I'm here with Justin of Sports Kings, Jimmy of War Room Sports,
Blue Horseshoe loves Anacott still,
Jim of Sports Kings,
Shout out to Pinnacle Vodka, because I'm drinking it and they're paying me for it.
and B. Austin of War Room Sports.
Randall Cunningham's birthday.
As you guys know, this is the show where we give you in-depth analysis of everything happening in the NFL. So, fellas, let's jump right into it this week. We got a couple of signings in free agency, and we have a few situations in the NFL that we want to talk about. So, first, let's talk about the world champion Baltimore Ravens. We know how they've been losing players weekly. They've just made two signings, one to replace Ed Reed. They've signed Michael Huff, former safety from the Raiders, to a 3-year, $6 million deal. And they signed Elvis Dumervil after his whole fax fiasco with the Denver Broncos. He has a 5-year deal worth up to $35 million, $12 million in guarantees, $8.5 million is what he'll make in 2013. So let's talk a little bit about Michael Huff. I mean, we know in the larger scheme of things, he's no Ed Reed. But we'll go to Justin because he was with your team, the Raiders. What do you think Michael Huff will bring to the Baltimore Ravens?
He's a little bit of a better pickup than people are giving the Ravens credit for. I'm not saying that just because I'm a homer, but if you look at the cornerback situation in Oakland for the last couple of years, has not been good since Nnamdi left and then Stanford Rat left. I mean, we've been playing with some dude named Chris Johnson and Rosilio Hansen. I know you guys know a little bit about that. So it hasn't been good. He hasn't had the surrounding cast to really help him out. He's a pretty good safety, and actually he played corner for 8 games this year because of the situation that the Raiders had at corner. So to me, I think it's a good pickup. He's definitely no Ed Reed, but no one out there is an Ed Reed besides Ed Reed. So a little bit of a better pickup than people are giving it credit for, but definitely not the best one.
Well, he's 30 years old. I would say he's pretty durable. He's played, not started, but he's played in 16 games, 6 of the 7 seasons he was with the Raiders. 11 career interceptions, 55 deflected passes. And by all accounts, he is a pretty good tackler and has great ball skills. B. Austin, our resident defensive backs coach, what is your take on Michael Huff and how he can help the Raiders, since your hero, Ed Reed, is no longer with the club?
No, my hero is Brian Dawkins, but that's another episode.
That's your Homer hero.
He's some fast, talented, athletic trash. I think that
Dang.
he shows flashes from time to time, the versatility, the ability at 29 years old to move out on the island because he had Dookie on the corner. It's a testament to his abilities, but overall, he's not what we expected him to be coming out of school. He's just, he's an average DB. I don't have much to say. He gets caught looking sometimes, but he's all right. He's all right.
Well, Jim, being as though the Baltimore Ravens is your team's rivals, the Pittsburgh Steelers, does this put any fear in your heart as a Steelers fan that they picked up Huff?
I think just looking at the Ravens, what they did, I mean, they lost both to somebody. And in Huff, you're getting a proven guy to be, he's a good stopgap. Not like he's terrible. Like B. Austin said, he's not great, but the Ravens didn't really have a choice at this juncture. And he was the best choice available to fill Ed Reed's spot, and they lost Pollard too, so you had to get at least somebody can play a little bit of football back there to at least start the season. So, I mean, I think it's a good signing just based on what they needed to do.
Okay. What about let's go to Dumervil, because Jimmy, as a Broncos fan, the whole thing with how Dumervil left town was kind of crazy.
Real quick, if I can just interject, Jimmy, if you didn't want Dumervil on your team, you didn't have to intercept that fax, man. You didn't want him.
Yo, don't blame me, man. I believe, you know me. I don't believe in paper. I go paperless in society. It's a today's society, man. You should be paperless anyway. So the fact of the matter is, I'm still pissed about how we lost in the playoffs. Yes, I haven't got over it. So you mean to tell me that it's possible, right? You know, I don't want to think this way, but let's just say we we end up losing now because of a fax machine, man. If that happens, yo, I literally blame Peyton Manning. But anyway, that whole situation, I don't even know what to say about it. I mean, you know, Faxgate, as they're calling it. By the way, we got to stop saying gate with everything. But anyway, it's a good pickup for the Ravens, though. Let's look at it on that side. Their pass rush, you know, Suggs, Dumerville, that could be a deadly tandem.
It's one of those, who do you double? Who do you,
I mean, because
double?
Suggs, Nada, and the inside linebackers coach, Don Martindale, were the ones who actually recruited Dumerville to come there after the whole fax fiasco went down. Actually, Don Martindale was the inside linebackers coach of the he was one of the defensive coaches in Denver when Dumerville had his best season. I believe he had 17 sacks that year, and like even last year, I mean, he had 11 sacks, 6 forced fumbles. So I agree. I think it's a pretty good pickup for the Baltimore Ravens, you know, in an offseason where they've been, you know, in the spotlight for losing players. Justin, what do you think about the Dumerville pickup? All right.
I think Justin's having some audio issues, but I just want to say, you know, we'll see what happens in terms of, like, you know, Von Miller, because to me, Von Miller is the best defensive player in football, but maybe I'm being biased by saying that. But I want to see how he's affected by not having Dumerville on the other side. Now, it's a great pickup for Baltimore. I hate the fact that we had to lose him when he was willing to take less money. Man, it's just an ugly situation, man. Not over a fax, though, man. Come on, it can't happen.
Jim, we know that, you know, you don't really feel any fear because Michael Huff came to town. But do you have any fear, you know, for Big Ben having to face Dumerville twice a season?
Yes. Yep. I'm pretty pissed because I thought the Ravens were getting worse and they just got better. Because they lost Kruger, and even though they don't play the same position, it's still primarily pass rushing. So they lose Kruger, who was a slug, and now you got Dumerville, who can do like a bunch of different things. Rushing the passer, he's faster. He's got a variety of moves, and he's going to be all over Big Ben, and I'm pissed off now because I thought they were getting worse, and they just got better. So.
Right. I mean, I even when they were losing players, you know, I kept telling people you probably have to give Ozzie Newsome the benefit of the doubt and just sit back and let them work, because I don't think, even if the Baltimore Ravens are in rebuild mode, they're not going to just be terrible. You know, so, yeah, I mean, in 6 seasons, he has 63.5 sacks, 17 forced fumbles, and for whatever it's worth, he's been to the Pro Bowl 3 times. Justin, you have anything on Dumerville?
If you can hear me.
I can hear you now.
Yeah, I can't hear anybody else. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. A little bit of technical difficulty, sorry. Dumerville, I like the move. I mean, they got a little younger with Kruger leaving, Dumerville coming in. I don't understand the whole fax machine thing. I thought this was 2013. I like the move better for them. Dumerville's proven he's an every down player, whereas Kruger was kind of a third down player, more of a pass rush type guy. Dumerville could kind of do it all. And I believe they got him for a little cheaper than what they would have had to keep Kruger. The cool thing about the Ravens, I don't know if it's a cool thing, but we talked last week about Ozzie Newsome being such a whiz at what he does, why he's one of the best. For the price of Anquan Bolden, he got Chris Canty, Michael Huff, and Elvis Dumerville. So I like the pickup for him. It's good.
Great point. That's all great points, Dev, that he made, because when everybody was jumping bad, like, what are they doing now? You know, just a week later, we're like, how did he pull that off? You know, he got they may end up being better on paper.
It was all bad just a week ago.
Yeah, how about that?
I guess I can look at the upside and the downside of Elvis Dumerville. The upside is his versatility. He's a 3-down player. He's actually decent in space. Not that you want him in space and coverage. You want him rushing the quarterback, but he's more of an athlete than people think of. A little undersized, but he's always been undersized and had success being undersized. He plays with a lot of leverage. My question with him now would be health and productivity as he ages. I think the benefit of having Terrell Suggs on the other side, I think they help each other out because now it's really pick your poison. Who do you double team? You really have to double both of them, and then you open up the middle of the field for whatever. So I think that it's a good pickup for the price tag, and as you just alluded to, being able to pull off Doomerville, Huff, and who else? Who else was in that?
Canty.
And Canty, all for the price of Anquan Bolden. That's a huge win. So I'm looking at Ozzie like, you coiled dog, you've done it again. So that's my take on the Doomerville thing.
All right, well let's move over. Let's move over to another team in the division, Jim's team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. We all know that James Harrison, the 5-time Pro Bowler, was cut on March 9th because he refused to take a pay cut. He was actually scheduled to make a little over $6.5 million this season. He's not getting too much interest on the free agent market. He was actually visiting with Baltimore when they signed Doomerville. So, he left town probably a little upset. They've expressed, well, actually his agent says that he was keeping it open to re-signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers, but the Steelers have expressed that they have no interest in re-signing. Do you think, Jim, that this is the right move? As a fan, do you want James Harrison back on the team, or is he aging and has his time passed?
I think the sentimental part of me wants him back, but you got to look at the facts here. I mean, his agent's a total jackass, and he's the one that persuaded him to not take the pay cut. And I read a quote earlier, and he said, we believe James is a bargain, so we don't need to take a pay cut. He went to free agency. Everyone looked at him like he was retarded. And now he's trying to crawl back to Pittsburgh when nobody else wanted him. And it boggles my mind how this whole situation unfolded. But if he didn't want to take a pay cut to stay with us, then good riddance. Jason World produced more last year anyway. He's 35. He's done. I'll always love the guy, but if we weren't your first choice, we're not going to accept you when you come back to us. Just like a breakup, man. Nope.
Yeah, so that is a good point. Like the agent, he doesn't want to take the pay cut, and then he's out there publicly lobbying. We're still interested if the Steelers want to re-sign. Justin, what do you think about the whole James Harrison situation?
I hope he's out of the NFL.
He told him FOH.
I know Jim liked him. I don't know if he likes him. I can't hear anything anybody's saying, but I'm not a big James Harrison fan. I'm not a fan of Roger Goodell and all his rules, but James Harrison, he does it on purpose to go out there and break them. And I don't know.
Why we're good,
He's
man. That's
old,
why you
he's
guys
slow,
always
he's
30.
hurt every year. He costs the Steelers too much. He's going to cost everybody else too much. And if I'm not mistaken, Colt McCoy's probably still dizzy from that hit he took 3 years ago.
Should have moved.
Jimmy, James Harrison.
This is interesting. You guys all made valid points. You took a lot of what I was going to say in terms of the fiat. You guys think they're more valuable than they really are. So it's kind of you tried to call their bluff. Now you're seeing what people really think about you. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was a productive player for all his faults. He was a productive player, and he put a fear in a lot of players' hearts. But
I mean, he's a 34-year-old linebacker. I mean,
yeah, but at the end of the day, yeah. So you tried to call their bluff, and it is what it is.
Changing of the guard.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of these conversations we're having, although the fax machine thing is just something totally separate. But when you every off season, people have to be reminded that the NFL is a business. There's no loyalty amongst teams or players or none of that. So
nor should there be.
But I get tired of being on Twitter. People say, well, they have no loyalty to him. Like, this is a business.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
I guess they Pittsburgh Steelers told him to FOH. They figure it out. Frank, Oscar, Harry.
If you think Jason Worlds was actually more productive when he was on the field. If we're per snaps anyway. I mean, he's only 25 and he's he's ready to start. So I mean, can't bring Harrison back and not put him on the field.
The reality is
the fact is he's not going to be there. So now Jim's finding all the negative things to say about him.
The reality is just what Devin alluded to. He's a 35-year-old pass rush 3-4 outside linebacker who can't pass rush anymore. He's been okay against the run even through these injury-laden seasons, but you don't pay James Harrison to be okay against the run. You pay him to break quarterbacks' ribs, and he can't really seem to do that any longer. And he wants $6 or $7 million a year to stop the run as a 3-4 standing linebacker. So it's pretty much a no-brainer.
Speaking of quarterbacks, we're going to stay in the AFC this week, and all the news is on somebody's team that's on our panel here. We're going to go back to Justin because your Raiders have a dilemma. They want Carson Palmer to restructure his contract. Frankly, he's on the hook this year for about $13 million in base salary. He's expressed that he doesn't want to restructure. So what do you do as the Raiders? Do you release Carson Palmer and see what you have in Terrell Pryor? I didn't mean to laugh while I was saying that. But Justin, what do you do?
I've been a big Carson Palmer critic. I'm definitely not a fan of him, never have and never will be. But I think it's pathetic when the only team in the I guess the Bills, but two teams in the National Football League with the shittiest quarterback situation in the past decade, and you're about to get cut from one of those teams. So to me, I mean, Carson did an all right job last year. I kind of gave him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. No offensive line, no receivers. Darren McFadden never healthy. $13 million, I wouldn't even pay. I guess I'd pay Tom Brady $13 million. But with as much money, much tools as the team needs, he better not make that. If he don't get cut, then I don't know what Reggie McKenzie's thinking. And I am a Terrell Pryor fan. Seen him do. Yeah, you're laughing again. I've seen him do different things. I've talked to him a couple times.
He's a great athlete.
Did you
As
pay
a fan,
for his
I want to
autograph?
move forward with him. I mean, even if not, at least we're seeing what he's got and giving him a chance. And he's not making $13 million.
Wildcat.
Well, Justin alluded to Carson Palmer doing okay last year. He threw for 4,018 yards, 22 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. Of course, we all know he was acquired from the Bengals. Well, he was acquired from his couch mid-2011 for first rounder last year and a second rounder this year. So, you give up all of that to get him. His contract is crazy. It may be to a point now where they're going to give up all of that stuff and now release him. B. Austin, what do you think about the Carson Palmer situation? Because I kind of saw you going to bat for him a little bit on Facebook the other day. Mainly because people were saying he was just trash. And
Carson Palmer
is
not that far away statistically from Joe Flacco. In fact, he has more passing yardage than Joe Flacco. And his wide receivers are the equivalent of the gentleman shaking his head right now on our pro. Yo, he has Darius Hayward-Bay and some other no-name dude that, his receivers are terrible. His O-line is worse, and he doesn't have his star running back for at least 7 games out of the season.
He's getting paid like Tom Brady, who's throwing.
You're right. He's getting overpaid.
I'll give you. With a quarterback, I'll give you offensive line. Not fully, but I'll give you. He didn't have his running back. I'm not going to give you receivers though. Because
Darius Hayward-Bay, Devin?
Great quarterbacks make average receivers look good. And you give this argument all the time when you're cranking on Donovan McNabb.
They're not
average.
I know. It depends upon which side he's on, man. Aaron Rodgers has a horrible offensive line. Aaron Rodgers has a horrible offensive line.
Are you comparing Aaron Rodgers to this dude, Carson Palmer? Because I'm definitely not.
Look at their paychecks.
There was a point in the league where Carson Palmer was
that dude.
He was that dude.
He was overrated then. He's a bum. He's a fraud. He throws interceptions at the wrong time in every game.
Quarterback.
Yeah, another USC bust quarterback.
I'm not saying
The
he's
guys
Fellas,
are
if it wasn't for
fraud.
the knee injury against Pittsburgh,
Yeah, I know.
really,
And if Grandma
he'd be a
had balls,
bust.
she'd be Grandpa. If.
No, but no,
But
we can take the if out. Carson Palmer's not a bust. Come on.
no, he's a
No, I
bum.
can't say that.
No,
Yeah,
I
I mean,
mean, but he's
bust
not
a bum.
You also had another bust USC quarterback. I don't think he's.
No, another bum USC quarterback. He's a bum. He's a fraud. He's a bum. He'll never win at the NFL level. We're going to save this video because he'll never win. He's a fraud.
We have to save this video. There's like 30 quarterbacks who are never going to win.
Yeah,
At
but
least,
you don't
at
have to
least
point it out.
25
You
are
ain't got to
never
beat
going
him.
to
I'm
win.
sure you know. I mean, I know that.
So by you saying this, I can pretty much say that you think he should be released for the $13 million.
Absolutely.
Oh, I think he. Oh,
he should be
I
sent
think
right
he
back
should
to
be
his couch.
released. Let's not get it twisted. I think he should be released for that salary amount as well. I don't think he's a $13 million guy by any stretch. But people go the complete opposite direction with him, and it goes beyond just the $13 million. It goes to he's a bum, and I just don't think that's true. I think he shouldn't be making $13 million. He's about $6 million overpaid.
He's about $6 million overpaid. I mean, if you want to be honest, the Raiders' offense was moving better with Jason Campbell before he got there. And they still had no receivers. They still had the same offensive line. I guess because he wasn't throwing the ball to the other team.
Jason Campbell had a good running back for,
He had McFadden, dude, who was leading the league and everything until he got injured.
Not with Campbell, he wasn't. He wasn't at the time.
McFadden
At the time
was like
Campbell went down, he wasn't leading the league. Stop it.
McFadden was like the Week 3 MVP. But Jim, what are your thoughts on Carson Palmer? Do you think he's a bum or a bust?
I don't think he's a bum, but I mean the Raiders have to make a decision for themselves right now. Do you stick with Palmer and try to have a healthy McFadden, get a few good draft picks, and make a push for the playoffs, or do you decide we're going to cut this guy, we're going to give Pryor a chance, maybe draft a quarterback, and build him in if Pryor doesn't work out? I mean, are you going to? What do you do?
Jim, great points. Great points. Because
it's a tough decision. I mean, this is like.
He's a fraud.
If you cut, dude, and he doesn't restructure, then you're basically wasting McFadden's career because you're putting him behind Pryor, and Pryor's not good. He's not good.
I mean, I laughed earlier, but I'm going to give Terrell Pryor a chance to show what he can do. I mean, who knows?
I mean, he wasn't that bad when he was on the field last year.
So I'll definitely give him a chance. I'm not going to put him in the Jamarcus Russell bunch.
I mean, no, he's not Jamarcus Russell, but I mean, at the same time, he probably has more heart than Carson Palmer too, who's a quitter. But he did quit on his Bengals and refused to sit on the couch and not play at all, as opposed to playing through his contract. But that's a whole nother story.
Well, speaking of this whole situation, because the name Jason Campbell was brought up. Of course, we know he was the starting quarterback for the first 6 games of, or was it 5? He was 3-2 as the starter in Oakland prior to breaking his collarbone, giving way to the Carson Palmer signing, the Carson Palmer trade. Justin, Jason Campbell has now signed a 2-year deal with the Cleveland Browns, and this move was done basically to have him push Whedon for the starting position. Do you think Jason Campbell will end up starting over Brandon Whedon?
I do. Jason Campbell gave me, as a Raiders fan, a tiny bit of hope. It was 11 minutes and 49 seconds in the second quarter that he dislocated that shoulder bone. So to me, he's a good quarterback. I mean, he went 4-2. You mentioned earlier he had the better offensive line. He had Darren McFadden. And then from there, the season went to hell. But I'm not a big Brandon Whedon fan. I haven't been. People will tell you that I often joke about his geriatric stature. He's going to be in his second year. Jason Campbell's going to be in, I believe, his 9th. And Jason Campbell's only a year older. To me, Jason Campbell, he's more mobile. He's going to do a little more of what Jasinski wants down there in Cleveland. And I think that he's not only going to compete for the job, I don't even think it's going to be a competition. I think Jason Campbell's winning that job.
Wow.
Man.
Speaking of Jason Campbell being in his 9th year, in his 9 years in the NFL and his years at Auburn, B. Austin, how many different systems systems has this man had to learn? How many offensive coordinators he played under? Like, I think his whole career has basically been sabotaged from the start.
This will be the ninth. This will be the ninth coming up.
Between here and college, that's just.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, no. I'm sorry, I didn't count college. I was just counting the NFL. If you count college, it's double digits. It's double digits. I don't know how many it is, but it's double digits.
Yeah, this is a guy who's basically expected to learn a new offense every season. Probably because of that, I don't have as much confidence in Jason Campbell as Justin just expressed. And I got to see him play for 5 years in Washington. And though he wasn't bad, I don't think he was worthy of that first-round draft pick that he was. Jimmy, what are your thoughts on Jason Campbell and Brandon Wheaton? Remember, Colt McCoy's down there too.
I actually from that James Harrison hit.
I agree with Justin. I mean, at the end of the day, Jason Campbell has just as much playoff success as Carson Palmer does, who according to Austin should be making about $6 million a year. So I think he'll be good. In terms of that job down there, I think it's his to lose. When you look at his physical abilities, the guy's not a bum. That's the thing. He's never been given a good situation. But here he is again, starting with a whole new offense.
With a whole new offense.
Yeah. So that's the thing. But I think it's his job. It's not as if he's replacing Brady. He's replacing Whedon, for Christ's sake.
The only thing this time he's working in an offense that he should be a little familiar with from Oakland. But, besides that, it's still a new team. The verbiage is probably a little bit different. Yeah, he's going to have to learn all over again. Jim, what's your confidence level?
He's replacing Whedon, though. I mean, Whedon does have the same amount of wins in the playoffs as Carson Palmer. But go ahead, Jim. I'm sorry.
Jim, what is your confidence level with Jason?
Honestly, who really cares?
Even the Browns.
They're Campbell. You guys are all correct that he never got a fair shake. Blah blah blah. But Whedon's not going to put him over the top. Neither is Campbell, and that's fine with me because we don't need another team in the AFC North being halfway decent.
Jim's like, look, Jim Brown's not walking through that door. Bottom line, he's not.
Even if he did, he couldn't lower his helmet anyway. So.
Gold jacket, green jacket. Who gives a shit?
Cleveland rocks.
All right, so we'll see how that works out.
All I know is, because I'm sure Deb wanted me to say this, Jason Campbell has never closed his mouth, to my knowledge. And that's all I have from Jason Campbell.
I don't think he can. But for his career, he's a 61% passer, 14,682 yards, 76 touchdowns to go against 52 interceptions, and 1,096 rushing yards for 6 more touchdowns. So, like we said, he's definitely been serviceable. We'll see what happens over there in Cleveland. So this is we'll get out of here on this topic here. Of course, we've all heard the rumors that a gay NFL player is thinking about coming out in the coming weeks. This is definitely a story, especially in football, because we've all often wondered, what kind of treatment an openly gay player would get in what's supposed to be the most macho locker room.
Cordell Stewart and Yancey Pigpen weren't open.
Cordell is divorcing his wife right now for no reason. But Justin, what do you think? First of all, whoever this anonymous player is, he says that he actually fears the reaction more from fans rather than players and people in his own locker room. So Justin, where do you think most of the fear should come from? Do you think the fans would be worse, or do you think the players in the locker room will be worse?
I think it'd be the fans more. I mean, this dude's obviously in the NFL right now. His 52 other teammates don't have a problem with him right now.
They might not know, though.
Yeah, they don't. They might not know, but if saying one sentence saying he's gay, if that makes things any different, I mean, to me, I don't know. It's kind of hard because, I mean, I'm not against it. I'm not for it. I'm not against it. It's whatever to me. It doesn't matter. Make your own choices. But if they've been playing with him, let's say it's a 10-year vet and he's highly respected in the league and the locker room, if he comes out and everything changes off of that, to me, I think it'll be a little stupid. As far as the fans, I think that's going to be the biggest hit he'd take is from the fans. But we did a little survey on Sports Kings last night and into today of fan voting, and I was actually surprised at the amount of people that said no, it wouldn't bother them at all. There's a couple of them, the outspoken ones, that definitely made it known they were against it. But
yeah, that's the thing though with fans. Some people are going to take the politically correct route and say the right thing. They may be thinking something else.
Yeah.
Get a little beer in you on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah. So to me, I mean, just based off that, I'd think fans, but I don't think guys in the locker room will look at him any different. Maybe a little bit, but like I said, if it's a 10-year guy and he's well respected around the league, that could be a little different than a 2-year kind of lowball guy. So
I'm thinking though, in this politically correct world that we live in, I think so many people would be afraid to be that person, openly saying something. If you're in a stadium full of people and you're calling this guy names or something like that, like you have no idea who in your section is going to punch you in your face. So I just don't,
exactly.
I don't think it will be as big of a deal as everyone wants to make it right now. But if he ultimately comes out and does it, then we will see. Jimmy, what are your thoughts on this?
I think that the timing is right. I think we're ready for someone to come out. Statistically speaking, it has to be several gay players in the NFL. But I think that the time is right. Like Dev said, there will be people afraid to even speak how they feel, even if they honestly feel that way. Unless you're in Oakland, of course, and then you never know what might happen. But
or if Tim Hardaway is his teammate.
Yeah, if Tim Hardaway. But at the end of the day, though, the first person to actually do this is going to have a windfall of sponsorships and money and attention. So, and I'm a conspiracy theorist. I think the first person to actually come out will probably be somebody who's lying, the Frank Ocean route to, for financial gain. But I actually hope that it does happen, so we can move past this, because it's one of those issues that every year this happens to come up all the time. We see now they're asking players about whether they date women or what have you. And then we saw what happened with the Niners at the Super Bowl. So let's just get past it. Because at the end of the day, if you can help your team win, that's all people really care about. If you help my team win the Super Bowl, I can care less who you sleep with. That's your business.
Right. Jim, what are your thoughts?
I think people get a little too opinionated on these types of subjects. I mean, you have to learn to separate the personal from the football field. And if this player, whoever he is a productive player on the field, it may add like a strange mantra to him off the field, like he may be viewed a little bit differently. But at the end of the day, it's not a big deal to me. I think that, like Jimmy said, the league's been waiting for something like this to happen, so we can just be like, okay, there are gay players, let's move it along. It shouldn't be as big a deal as it is. And it's blown up all over the nation, though, not just in the NFL.
Yeah.
So when this finally does happen, and imagine if it's like some stud player is what I'm thinking. Like, what if it's like somebody that we know really well? It's going to blow up for a little bit. And honestly, who cares what the fans think? Like, there used to be in heckle all the time, and a fan's opinion on something shouldn't matter to a player, because like, I have gay friends, okay? Now, if I knew one of my favorite players was gay, I wouldn't view him differently. You know what I mean? It's like they're all the same. Yeah. So it's like, it's not a big deal, and let's just get it over with. But I'm definitely curious to see who it is, because who it is going to be is going to determine the reaction. If it's like a nobody, it looks like a guy who cares.
Yeah, like if it's like Carson Palmer, then nobody really would care. You know what I mean? You gotta stay consistent.
If it's a stud, it'll spiral out of control for a little bit, then it'll come back to balance. But I'm definitely curious to know who it is.
And it's funny when you watch and see all the different names and different speculation that's going on now. You see all kinds of names. You see Tebow. I saw like 45 different people say it's Aaron Rodgers. Like, it's just amazing. First off, why is it all quarterbacks? I mean, all the speculation has been all quarterbacks, which I find funny.
You probably think it's quarterbacks or kickers.
It's definitely Danny Woodhead.
It's probably a punter. It's probably a punter.
B. Austin. All right, so take us out of here on this. What do you think, fans or players, and what are your opinions on the whole?
I think that places like the Dog Pound and the 700 section are going to have a field day with this. I do think that Sunday game days, even NBA game days, are the one last bastion of free, ignorant self-expression influenced by inebriation. And so I do think that the heckling is going to get out of control. But as you all have said, we are living in a different society which views, one sexuality as irrelevant and further homosexuality as being, more acceptable. What difference does it make? Ultimately, dollars and cents still flows. W's are still made. We win games. Doesn't matter whether the person next to me on my team is sleeping with a dude or a woman. So, I think in a locker room environment, I think dude probably is already semi out of the closet, and there are people on the team that know, and it's really whether or not he wants to publicize it. Because you can't be that close in that environment, because in the locker room, I'm going to show you all types of pictures of naked women. So I'm going to know if you digging that or not.
You can fake it.
Yeah, come on, man. That's a whole... Because half of the guys in the league who probably, are gay players are probably faking it and have been faking it.
And especially if you view it in a manner where, if people knew this, it would affect my livelihood, then you fake it, you'll definitely be able to fake it. That's just my opinion. But before we get out of here, Jim, let everybody know how they can get everything that they need to get from Sports Kings on a weekly basis.
All right, man. You're www.sports-kings.com. We got 4 subset sites, all dedicated to the 4 major sports. We got a dedicated team of talented writers, and as you can see, we're branching out into this radio thing with you guys. You guys are great, too. Just give us a look sometime. You won't regret it. And I'm going to steal this from Jimmy. You can find us anywhere on the net, but if we're not there, we're in your mother's bedroom.
There you go. There you go.
That's many more fans this week.
There you go. Listen, in terms of us, we're War Room Sports, at War Room Sports on Twitter. We're on Google+. We're on Facebook. We argue everywhere, so if you say something we don't like, we will respond and call you stupid. So, Jim said we may be in your mother's bedroom. That may be the case, but you'll find us everywhere on the web. Just look up War Room Sports and, let's argue.
Come on, your son's watching. Oh, okay. So, this has been another edition of Field Vision with War Room Sports and Sports Kings. Look, everybody, they told you how to get in touch with us, so we're out of here until next week. Remember, don't accept mediocrity and be steadfast in the war against ignorance.
I see you chumps on top.
Kuwait, it's the War Room with 5 nights at the round table. 5 Philly guys, diversified and educated.